You kidding me? That is one of the most disrespectful acts I've ever witnessed by a professional athlete toward their coach. One of their coaches.
Are you kidding me? That was one of the most disrespectful acts I've ever witnessed from a professional athlete toward their own coach. You saw the clip. You heard the outrage. Then came the headlines. Angel Reese suspended indefinitely. Felt like the inevitable climax to a season-long spiral. But what if I told you that suspension never actually happened? What if the real story isn't the one that went viral, but the one being deliberately buried? Tonight, we're not just replaying the drama. We're peeling back the layers of a viral lie to uncover a far more complex and troubling truth. Inside the Chicago Sky organization, we're going to connect the dots between a frustrated star, a silent front office, and a warning from the general manager that went almost completely unnoticed. A warning that may have been the spark that lit the fuse, cutting through the noise to get to the truth. And if you're here for the real story, the one behind the headlines, hit that like button now and show you're part of the team that digs deeper. So let's rewind the tape, not just to the incident, but to the final frantic minutes of the game that set the stage. It was July 7th, and the Chicago Sky were locked in a gritty, back-and-forth battle with the Washington Mystics on national television. This wasn't a blowout. This was a war, with every possession counting. The Sky were desperately trying to salvage a season that was slipping through their fingers, sitting at a painful 5-13 record. In the middle of it all, Angel Reese was on fire, dropping 22 points and hauling in 15 rebounds in a dominant double-double performance. That should have been the headline. But with just 29.9 seconds left on the clock and the game tied at 77, emotions erupted. During a timeout, as assistant coach Ann Crosby held up a clipboard, Reese, in a flash of raw frustration, slapped it away.
Is walking over to the bench and she slaps the clipboard out of her coach's hand.
She walked over to the bench and, in a flash of visible frustration, slapped the clipboard out of her coach's hand. The Chicago Sky would go on to lose the game by just 2 points, but that narrow defeat was instantly eclipsed by that single act, clipped, posted, and spreading like wildfire across the internet. Within minutes, the narrative had been cemented.
It's another day of the Angel Reese drama because she has simply smacked the clipboard out of an assistant coach's hands. Yes.
It's another day of drama, this time sparked by a single moment where she smacked a clipboard out of an assistant coach's hands, and just like that, the narrative exploded. Before the players even made it to the locker room, the internet's court of public opinion had already delivered its verdict, swift and unforgiving. Commentators, fans, and critics alike rushed to label it the ultimate act of disrespect.
But this is some Bush League lack of respect. This behavior can't happen.
It was instantly labeled as Bush League, a clear and blatant display of disrespect. Behavior like that, many argued, simply couldn't be tolerated. The debate wasn't over if she should be punished, but for how long. Its demands for a suspension came fast and furious from every corner of the sports world.
The games, I think, just continue to fight through that and keep pushing through that. We'll be grateful.
Angel Reese's actions were widely seen as blatantly disrespectful. Asterisk, 2-game suspension, at minimum, bro. At minimum. But this wasn't just online chatter, it quickly became a widespread demand. The pressure was immediate and intense, and the narrative locked in fast. Several YouTube channels and countless social media accounts began reporting the fact that the Chicago Sky had suspended Reese indefinitely for conduct detrimental to the team. It dominated headlines, the seemingly obvious consequence for a player who currently leads the league in technical fouls. The story fit perfectly. Meant for most people, that's where it ended. The digital breadcrumbs told a simple tale. Star player snapped, crossed a line, and was swiftly disciplined. Clean, easy, expected. But if there's one thing we've learned in today's media landscape, it's that the most viral version of events is usually just the surface. While the internet shouted suspension, something strange was happening, or rather, not happening, at the one place that actually mattered. The Chicago Sky front office. Hours turned into days, and still, nothing official. What was really going on? Let's cut through the noise and get to the truth buried beneath the avalanche of speculation. Here's the fact that flips the entire narrative, as of this recording. On the night of July 10th, 2025, there has been zero official confirmation of any suspension for Angel Reese. Not from the Chicago Sky, not from the WNBA, not from anyone. The indefinite suspension that fueled 1,000 hot takes was a ghost, a viral hoax, fiction spun by the internet echo chamber that ran so far with a rumor. It blurred into assumed fact, and this is where the real investigation begins. Because from here, things get more complex. In a situation this volatile, with this much public pressure, silence isn't the absence of a story. The silence is the story. It's a deliberate move that speaks louder than any press release, so the real question isn't why was she suspended? The more telling question is, why wasn't she? And what does that reveal about the true power dynamics inside the Chicago Sky organization? There are real forces at play here, and the team's decision to stay silent is the first major clue that this goes far beyond one emotional outburst. Let's explore the first major theory behind that silence, and it all comes down to money. Welcome to what we're calling the Asset Protection Program. To understand this, you have to stop thinking of Angel Reese as just a basketball player. You have to see her as what she represents to the WNBA and its sponsors. A massive revenue machine. Let's look at the facts. In just her second year, Angel Reese is already a two-time WNBA All-Star, a franchise cornerstone. But her profile doesn't stop at the court. She was just announced as the cover athlete for NBA 2K26's WNBA edition, and she's debuting her first Reebok signature shoe on the cover. Let that sink in. A signature shoe deal and the cover of the world's biggest basketball video game. That's not just fame, that's a multi-million-dollar marketing engine with campaigns planned months, even years in advance. Now put yourself in the Chicago Sky front office. On one hand, you've got a player whose on-court behavior is generating bad press. On the other, that same player is driving ratings, selling merchandise, and elevating your entire franchise's brand. So, do you suspend her for smacking a clipboard and risk upsetting your sponsors, the WNBA, and the developers of NBA 2K26? Do you jeopardize a lucrative partnership you're financially tied to? It's a high-stakes dilemma from a business standpoint. The silence starts to look less like weakness and more like a calculated decision. Why confirm a suspension and validate the backlash when you can address things privately? Protect your asset and wait for the media cycle to move on. And that's the tension at the heart of the modern WNBA, the collision between accountability and marketability.
She can't get out of her own way. And I don't give a rat's how frustrated she is.
She just can't get out of her own way, and honestly, I don't give a rat's how frustrated she is. That might sound fair from a fan's point of view, but for the front office, her frustration has to be weighed against her massive marketability. So what do you do when your biggest headache is also your biggest asset? That's a tough call. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. But the money angle is only half the picture. There's another equally compelling theory explaining the team's silence, one that points to a deeper, more troubling issue within the Sky locker room. This brings us to theory number 2, and it's much darker. We'll call it the power vacuum. According to this theory, the silence from the Chicago Sky isn't a calculated business decision. It's a symptom of something far worse. A coaching staff that has lost control of its star player, and maybe the entire team. It's not sugar-coated. The critics aren't whispering anymore. They're shouting.
Marsh has no control over this basketball team. At this point, it looks like his leadership is questioned as a head coach with some of the tactics and things that go down with Angel Reese and this damn basketball team.
Tyler Marsh appears to have limited control over his basketball team. His leadership as head coach is now under serious scrutiny, particularly in how he's managing injuries and team dynamics. That's a strong accusation, but is there evidence to back it up? Let's start with a key fact. Marsh is in his first year as a head coach. He's a rookie. charged with leading one of the league's most high-profile and arguably most challenging personalities. That alone is a tough assignment. But when you look at the pattern of behavior leading up to this moment, the picture gets clearer. The clipboard incident wasn't an isolated display of frustration from Angel Reese. She currently leads the WNBA with 5 technical fouls this season. And just one day before the incident, following a tough loss to the Minnesota Lynx, Reese went scorched earth on the league's officiating in a fiery post-game press conference.
And she's getting destroyed.
But that has to be fixed. And I don't give a damn if I get fined, because I need to speak. I've been nice, I've been humble, but I've had enough. When your star player openly dares the league to fine her and receives no visible consequences from her own team, it sends a powerful message. She's operating outside the normal bounds of accountability. From this angle, the team's silence on the clipboard incident doesn't look like a calculated PR move. It looks like paralysis. It suggests a coaching staff too intimidated to confront its star player for fear of losing her entirely.
All this
is what a power vacuum truly looks like, and many analysts believe it's directly linked to the team's poor performance and sliding record.
Coach do not have control of this basketball team. It's why they could be losing these damn games.
If the coach doesn't have control of the team, then it's no wonder they're losing these games. So here we are, looking at 2 competing theories. Is the front office playing 4D chess to protect a multi-million-dollar asset? Or is the coaching staff simply failing to manage a team in freefall? The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. But there's still one more critical connection to explore: the link between the asset protection theory and the power vacuum theory. That link is a detail most people missed in the chaos of the clipboard incident, a reported internal rumor that reshapes the entire pressure narrative. According to media reports, just before Angel Reese's recent outbursts, Chicago Sky general manager Jeff Pagliocca allegedly warned her that the team needed more production from her. Let's pause there. More production from a player averaging nearly 13 points and 13 rebounds a game. A player setting league records for consecutive 15 rebound performances. A player who, on the night of the incident, dropped 22 points and grabbed 15 boards, and yet, she was told it still wasn't enough. That kind of feedback in an already strained locker room turns pressure into a full-blown pressure cooker. The frustration we witnessed on the court wasn't just about losing. It was about the impossible weight of trying to single-handedly carry a 5-13 team while being told by her own front office that she needed to do even more. That doesn't justify slapping a clipboard. But it offers critical context to explain the emotional boiling point. Now, layer that with Angel Reese's own words after the incident. In a post on X, she wrote, "Asterisk those blank were pissing me off. Shout out to Ann because she knew it was the heat of the moment and didn't let me apologize because she knew. Not happening again though. Asterisk at first glance. It sounds like a casual apology. But the key phrase she knew says more than you might think. Suggests that Ann Crosby, the assistant coach involved in the incident, understood exactly what Reese was feeling. That the situation was addressed privately, between 2 professionals in a high-pressure moment. This wasn't some scandalous, team-breaking act of rebellion. It was a tense, emotional moment handled internally while the internet concocted a suspension-worthy crime that never actually happened. And that's where the viral narrative starts to unravel, because when you zoom out, it just doesn't add up.
Back to the clipboard, out the assistant coach hand. Just not a good look from Angel Reese as a basketball player. Just like I said, she's supposed to be a leader among young women across.
I think we just have great teammates, great vets, great coaches that continue to close, keep working, and keep pushing. That statement.com/supportive, even optimistic, stands in stark contrast to the storm swirling beneath the surface. It's this contradiction between public loyalty and private pressure that defines Angel Reese's entire season and brings us to one unavoidable conclusion. Here it is, when you connect all the dots. The story of Angel Reese's indefinite suspension was a complete fabrication, a viral myth that distracted the world from a far more serious truth. The real story isn't about one moment of frustration or disrespect. It's about a perfect storm building in Chicago a franchise. Stuck between protecting its most valuable commercial asset and confronting a full-blown leadership crisis, the team's silence wasn't the calm before disciplinary action. It was a symptom of deeper dysfunction. Rookie head coach, a star player under immense pressure, and a front office piling on impossible demands are now on a direct collision. Of course, the clipboard slap. That wasn't the offense. It was the evidence that this team is cracking at the seams. So what's your take? Want to hear from you, the narrative analysts, the truth seekers. Who do you think is most responsible for the chaos in Chicago? Is it Angel Reese for her outbursts? Head coach Tyler Marsh for his lack of control? Or the front office for pushing too hard? Drop your theory in the comments. If you want to keep following this story, not the viral version, but the real. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss a single update. If this breakdown helped you see through the noise, share it with another WNBA fan who's tired of the hot takes and ready for real analysis. Because this is where the truth lives.